Well, 2 months after the resignation of Guy Watts, the Del Mar College Board of Regents have selected someone to fill that vacant seat. After a closed session, the Regents selected Mary Sherwood to fill the District 4 seat left vacant by Watts. After a swearing in, Sherwood took her position on the board and continued with today's scheduled meeting. It was back on April 12th, you'll recall, when Watts announced that his resignation from the seat, District 4 seat would be happening. Regents officially accepted the resignation. Days later, on April 15th, soon after, Watts announced his intentions to run for an at-large seat on the same board. Sherwood was one of 8 applicants to apply for the seat.
Well,